Skol Nation, stop right now. US Bank Stadium just erupted with 3 bombshells that will reshape everything you thought you knew about this season. One number tells the whole story: $13 million. A wide receiver leaving San Francisco arrives hungry for redemption. The hottest quarterback room debate in Minnesota still has no answer, and a cornerback from a historic rival may be on his way to purple and gold. 3 stories, 1 warning. The NFC North will never be the same. If you Skol louder than you breathe, hit like right now. Because the first name is already on the table and what's coming will shake the entire division. Let's go. Whispers turned into footsteps. And the name that arrived at US Bank Stadium with a bag full of impressive numbers and unfinished business: Jauan Jennings. After 6 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers, the 28-year-old wide receiver packed his bags, left the Bay Area behind and signed with the Vikings, and Albert Breer, insider at Sports Illustrated, is already calling this move a golden opportunity. But hold on, because the story isn't that simple. Jennings wanted $20 million per year. What did he get? A 1-year deal with $8 million guaranteed and a ceiling of $13 million. That's less than half of what he was chasing. And it was the money situation that left him frustrated and pushed him out of San Francisco in the first place. So the question everybody in Minneapolis is asking is, will he show up motivated or resentful? His numbers tell a fascinating story. In the 2024 season, Jennings exploded onto the scene. 77 receptions, 975 yards, 6 touchdowns. In the 3 full seasons before that, he had combined for just 78 receptions. That leap was monstrous. Last season though, despite setting a personal record with 9 touchdowns, his receptions dropped to 55 and his yardage fell by more than 300, a decline that hit at the worst possible moment, right before free agency. Breer made it clear in his analysis: Jennings is walking into an environment with a lot of mouths to feed. Justin Jefferson is untouchable at number 1. Jordan Addison is playing for a contract. Sam Laporta is a real option in the slot. And now Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy will be competing for the starting job. That's a lot going on. But that's exactly where the opportunity lives. Think about what drove Jennings out of San Francisco. It wasn't the football, it was the feeling that despite everything he produced, despite the yards, despite the touchdowns, despite showing up when the big moments called, the organization never made him feel like a priority. He watched receivers around him get paid. He watched the front office move pieces like chess, and he was always the piece that got moved last. That chip on his shoulder is now arriving in Minnesota. And here's the thing about players who come in with something to prove: they are dangerous. Jennings was a high school quarterback, shined at Tennessee, and proved he knows how to come up clutch even on contested catches, even under maximum pressure. He spent 6 years learning from George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk, 3 of the most competitive receivers in the league. That education doesn't disappear just because the jersey changes. In Minnesota, the pieces around him are elite. A quarterback competition that will push whoever wins it to perform at their absolute ceiling. A receiving course deep enough to create mismatches on every single play. And a fan base so starved for a championship that they will make US Bank Stadium the loudest building in the NFC every home game. If Jennings fits in, if he buys into the system and delivers, this 1-year deal becomes the launchpad for the massive contract he always wanted. The Vikings gave him the perfect stage. Now the spotlight is his. Do you believe Jennings will thrive in Minnesota? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you think the Jefferson-Jennings combo is about to destroy defenses across the NFC North, hit that like button now. Because the next chapter of this story runs even hotter. And it involves a quarterback battle that Minnesota didn't expect to be fighting this soon. The strangest, most delicate, and most explosive situation inside the Minnesota Vikings in 2026 has exactly 2 names: Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy. And before you assume Minnesota will simply move on from their young quarterback after signing a former number 1 overall pick, the truth is this story has far more layers than it appears. Dan Graziano of ESPN put everything on the table in an analysis published this Tuesday. Trading JJ McCarthy makes no sense whatsoever. The Vikings have already paid 70% of McCarthy's rookie contract. Whatever they'd get in a trade would never come close to matching the draft capital spent to select him. And it's been less than a year since this franchise believed McCarthy was their starter, not just in 2025, but for many years ahead. You don't throw that away overnight. But the elephant in the room is real. Kyler Murray has arrived. The former Cardinals quarterback, released by Arizona after a deteriorating relationship, was brought in to be the starter. Murray is talented, dynamic, dangerous with his legs when he's healthy. And that's the most delicate point in this entire equation. Graziano reminded everyone that Murray has had just one fully healthy season in the past 5 years. The Cardinals are still paying nearly $36 million for him to play for another team in 2026. That alone should give any fan base pause before crowning Murray as the answer. Now think about what this quarterback room actually looks like from the inside. You have Kyler Murray, a former #1 overall pick with MVP caliber talent, and an injury history that makes every snap feel like borrowed time. You have J.J. McCarthy, a young quarterback the Vikings spent significant draft capital on, someone they believed in completely less than 12 months ago. You have Carson Wentz, a veteran who has seen every version of this kind of situation before and survived them all. And you have Max Brosmer fighting for his professional life on the depth chart every single day. 4 quarterbacks, 1 starting job, and a fan base that needs answers before week 1. The pressure inside that building is real. McCarthy had positive moments last season. The inconsistencies were too serious to ignore, that's true. But sources close to the situation, according to Graziano, insist the Vikings have not given up on the young quarterback. The theory is that Murray's arrival will serve as a shock to McCarthy's system, something that forces him to reconnect with whatever he lost last season. It's a risky bet, it's a long shot, but with low trade value and a significant investment already made, holding on to McCarthy makes far more sense than discarding him now. Sometimes the best move a franchise can make is refusing to panic. And right now, Minnesota is refusing to panic. Do you think Kyler Murray starts in week 1? Or will McCarthy surprise everyone and take back what's his? Drop your prediction in the comments. And don't go anywhere, because the third chapter of this purple and gold storm involves a cornerback who wore green and gold for years, and may be about to go full Viking. The most hated rival in Minnesota Vikings history is the Green Bay Packers. Every member of Viking Nation knows that. And this offseason, the universe dropped a poisoned gift on the table. The Packers signed Jauan Jennings, the defensive tackle who came from Minnesota. The Vikings lost an important piece to their division rival. But what if the next move flips the entire script? Jacob Infante of the Pro Football Sports Network made his prediction and pointed to the Vikings as the likely destination for Rasul, a cornerback who spent parts of 3 seasons with the Green Bay Packers before moving through other stops in the NFL. This is a rumor, but it's a rumor with serious foundation. Douglas, who turns 31 in August, spent the 2025 season with the Miami Dolphins, 62 combined tackles, 13 pass defenses, and 2 interceptions. It wasn't a dominant year, but it was consistent and professional. Infante highlighted that he ranked 15th in the league in PFSN's CB Impact scoring with a grade of 84.3. That is a top 15 cornerback across the entire league. For someone most people weren't expecting much from, that number is impressive. During his time in Green Bay, in 36 games, Douglas recorded 174 combined tackles, 32 pass defenses, and 10 interceptions. He knows the divisional scheme, he knows the receivers in the NFC North, and most importantly, he knows the enemy. There's something deeply satisfying about pulling a player away from the Packers, even indirectly, and using that same player to protect the Vikings secondary. But let's go deeper than the narrative. Minnesota's secondary needs proven experience. The young corners on this roster have flashed potential. But potential doesn't cover Justin Jefferson's mirror when he lines up against you in a division game. Douglas brings 36 games of NFC North experience, 10 career interceptions, and the mental toughness of a player who has survived roster cuts, team changes, and contract uncertainty at every single stop. He doesn't just know how to play corner. He knows how to play corner in this division, against these offenses, with everything on the line. That's the kind of knowledge you simply cannot teach. And beyond the stats and the scheme familiarity, there is something else Douglas brings that no number captures. Accountability. Every team he has played for has talked about his professionalism, his preparation, and his ability to bounce back after a bad play. In a secondary that needs a steadying voice and a proven presence, that leadership could be worth just as much as any interception. It's not a long-term solution, everybody agrees on that. But in a year where Minnesota is going all in to dominate the division, a veteran cornerback who knows the NFC North inside and out could be exactly what the defensive coordinator needs to push this team over the top. Do you want to see Rasul Douglas in a purple helmet? Comment Skol if the answer is yes. And hit like if you believe Minnesota is building a complete team for 2026. 3 stories, 1 signal. Minnesota is building something real. Jauan Jennings arrives hungry to prove that 2024 was no fluke. He wants that big contract, and he knows that one dominant year at US Bank Stadium is the fastest path to get there. The quarterback room has more drama than a television series, with Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer all competing for attention and snaps. But the Vikings refuse to throw away their investment in McCarthy and still believe that competitive pressure will bring out the best in him. And if Rasul signs with Minnesota, the defense gains a veteran who knows every receiver he'll face in the division, someone who has crossed enemy territory with the confidence of a winner. This is not a rebuilding project, this is a championship hunt. Detroit is announcing its reign, Green Bay is spending capital, Chicago is dreaming, but Minnesota is assembling the team. And when the whistle blows in Week 1, the Vikings want the entire division to feel the weight of every decision made this offseason. Viking Nation, I need 3 things from you right now. First, hit like. If you believe the Vikings win the NFC North in 2026, every single like is a direct message to the Packers. Second, drop your boldest prediction for this season in the comments. Division title, deep playoff run, or Super Bowl. And third, subscribe to the channel because every new subscriber is another Viking in the Purple Army. And Green Bay is not happy about it, but stay right here because the story isn't over. There is one roster move still unconfirmed that could be the final piece of Minnesota's defensive puzzle. And insiders say the decision is coming in the next 48 hours. On top of that, the Packers are hunting the same free agency market as the Vikings. If Green Bay closes first, Minnesota's entire plan changes. Which domino falls first? Skol, Viking Nation. The NFC North is ours. See you in the next war.